back.
Have we joined a cult?
Not that I'm aware of, but please let me know if we did.
Welcome to 23 Minutes.
Hello, welcome back.
Jeff, Lou,
Me, you.
we're gonna do another one of these 23 minutes, and we are 7:36, so we're looking good.
Let's do it.
All right, so you have the topic idea this time.
I did.
Something
I did.
fun to talk about.
Lou,
Mm-hmm.
I had some inspiration.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm introducing my son to Friends. Because my son's like, Dad, what did you used to watch?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I used to watch Friends like every Thursday night. I don't think I ever missed an episode.
Yeah.
Really like that show. It's like, okay, let's watch it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're watching it, and it was a snack break time, you know. And so we just paused it. We went and got a snack, came back in the room. My son's like, Dad, look at that. And it was paused. It was paused. And there, on that pause, there's a perfectly paused picture of the Twin Towers with a Porsche 911 right in front of them. So we have a 911 right in front of the Twin Towers.
Okay.
My first instinct was, oh my gosh, this show is that old?
Okay.
I was like,
yeah.
dang, that was 25 years ago.
Wow.
I'm like, man, that show is that old. And so I was just like, that's pretty ironic.
It is very ironic.
So the following morning, I'm working, and I got the radio on in the background, a little background noise going on. They're talking about the 30th anniversary of Alanis Morissette's album with Ironic.
Isn't it ironic? Yeah.
And then they played Ironic.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, that's also ironic.
That is ironic.
And then I'm thinking, like, the rear view mirror 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And I'm thinking, that's around the time of Friends as well.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Wow, 30 years.
We've got all of this, and it just... The ironic thing for me, too, is the view from the rear view mirror.
Uh-huh.
And just thinking back, it's like, first of all, I can't believe it was that long ago, much less...
Yeah.
How ironic is all the irony? And the clear view in the rear view...
Yeah, yeah.
It's just amazing.
It's kind of like all those the Simpson ones, you know, where they somehow predict the future.
Yeah.
Like the Simpsons, I don't know. I don't know how much credence I put into that. Like, did the writers do it, or
did it just happen?
Just happen?
If it's written down, does it come true? Is it a prophecy? And we don't take enough stock? Like what?
Maybe the veil is a little thinner on the creation of reality.
Is this the secret? Is the secret real?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
If you put it out in the universe, does it really happen? Or is that ironic, too?
I think that's ironic. You know, I actually just had a quote someone said recently. They said that they believed that because of the way things unfold and the kind of, not the worst case scenario or the best case scenario happens, but in reality, the ironic version always happens. And they say we live in an ironic universe. It doesn't move towards, you know, positive or negative. It's this weird blend of ironic in the middle. I don't know. I like that idea.
It's like, you know, and like the rearview mirror is clear. Like it doesn't make sense to you at the time, or it's like, oh, that can never happen, or why would that happen, or that's just preposterous.
Yeah.
30 years later,
yeah,
it wasn't so preposterous. Oh, it actually came true. Well, I mean, like, so many ironies. Like, I mean, we have political ironies right now. I mean...
We live in a time of irony.
Back in those times, I used to watch The Apprentice. And I used to love watching Donald Trump say, "You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
No, you got it. You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired."
Yeah, he was.
And I used to love that show.
That was was the 90s.
But if you...
no, 2000-1, right?
Yeah,
that was 2001. Wow.
It's still over 20 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Over 20 years ago. So, you know there's somebody out there saying, that guy should run for president. Or I bet that guy could be president someday. And as you're watching reality TV, you're thinking, they'd never hire a reality actor. Well, he's not the first actor.
No, he's not the first actor.
Ronald Reagan. Very famous
2 terms.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not preposterous.
No.
And it's borderline ironic if you'd have said it back then.
I mean, it is ironic. What was it? I was thinking about the Captain Planet. You remember the Captain Planet? You know, like he was always out to save the universe. It was a classic '80s kind of thing. The bad guy in that one was based on Donald Trump. Like he, you know, like when you look back at all these '80s cartoons and like he was the villain in like a lot more than we remember, or at least a caricature of the sort of Richie Rich kid that like he can get away with whatever he wants to. He's the top businessman, but
That's kind of an archetype.
Mongol.
It's
an
really
archetype.
It's an archetype.
Yeah.
It really is. And then the other ironic thing in the political scale is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a cabinet member of a Republican.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's ironic.
No, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and then another ironic thing, Jules Verne wrote 20,000 Leagues Below the Sea. Mm-hmm. There was no such thing as a submarine back then.
No.
We do that stuff all the time now.
It came about. I mean, when we started this podcast, we talked about AI. Yeah. And I mean, since we've did that podcast, AI has just sort of leaped and bounds into some rather strange territory. Like we're like legitimately looking at like the future we all kind of saw coming, like happening, but much faster. And I would say in an ironic way.
Isn't that ironic?
I got to bring it around.
It is ironic.
But my favorite irony of all time is Dave Coulier. You heard this yet?
Okay, I know Dave Coulier was Alanis Morissette's boyfriend.
Boom. And he was on Full House.
Right.
Okay. And he my favorite line was he did that character, what was it? It was like Fast as Fast. He had like a weird voice he would do.
Yeah. The cartoon voice.
Yeah, it was like a Jackrabbit or something. He had a weird, But Alanis Morsette apparently wrote that song about him.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. And you think about it in a weird way,
it's a breakup song.
It is, but he was also a goofy comedian. Like he was not like the Hollywood elite, pretty model type. Well, I mean,
he was on. He worked with the Olsen twins, so he was somebody. What was the name of the
Full House was a big. Full House was a big.
It was a big
huge.
Hit. That was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Wow. Irony.
I tell you what, but every time I think about that, the only thing that comes to mind is what was the name on the show? Was it Uncle Joey?
Joey.
He was Joey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Uncle Joey or Joey. I can't imagine Alanis Morisette going down on Joey in a theater. I missed that episode of Full House, but that's when I hear that line and I know the backstory.
You know the backstory.
All I can think of is Alanis Morisette going down on Joey in a movie theater.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, I think, and maybe context to people who don't know, is that for 20-some years, it was a big mystery about who she was singing about. Like, nobody really knew who she was singing about. And it wasn't until, like, last 5-10 years or something that it finally came out officially that she was talking about
rumor.
Dave.
It was rumor.
It was a rumor.
It was all rumor. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there are a couple of Canadian kids, aren't they?
Are they both Canadian? Well, that makes sense.
Because I remember watching Alanis Morisette on You Can't Do That on Television. Yeah. The original slime show where Nickelodeon started with the slime.
Yeah.
My little brother used to love that show.
Yeah.
So I'm Alanis. I remembered her. I'm like, oh, she's another child actress, trying to make a movie, trying to make an album.
Pop star, making it big.
Like, this is a pretty good album. It's not like the bubblegum stuff like the Mouseketeers did.
No, not at all. In fact, I saw a list recently of, it was like songs that were, bands that were created for movies, songs that were created specifically for a movie that were actually really, really good. Yeah, like Spinal Tap or something along those lines where it was like, this is actually good music. Like I just saw one recently. It was Dave Grohl. Okay, and he's got this movie. It is actually the last movie for Dale Hawkins, the drummer from the Foo Fighters. He died in 22, so it was like kind of his last appearance. But it's a horror movie. A very horror movie, like very horror. Like it's got the gore, it's got the spooks, it's got the scares, but it's the Foo Fighters like locked in a spooky mansion recording their 10th album. Okay. And here's my point: the ironic part, the music was fantastic. Like when they were just jamming away and they're like doing this epic long song, all supposedly like inspired by the ghosts or whatever, all the weirdness that's going down.
That's not the first time a band has done that.
No, it's not. But I enjoyed the heck out of it. Studio 60. No, what did I say? Studio 66. Yeah, Studio 66 is the name of it because they take the idea of like a band that goes and hides out in a mansion to record their album. I mean, like a lot of people did that back in the day.
That's cool.
In fact, Beastie Boys did that. I don't know if you knew that about your Beastie Boys. The second album, Paul's Boutique, was done in a Hollywood mansion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I knew the
Random.
Chili Peppers. Didn't the Chili Peppers record Mother's Milk in the Manson mansion or something like that?
Wow, that would be ironic.
Yeah.
Some stuff about irony.
Yes.
Apparently, the word it's an old word. It's been around for a long time, but we get it from the Latin. Irony in the French term, and there seems to be the etymology's been rather confusing. But it is that that idea in the broadest sense that what appears to be the case on the surface, and what actually is the case or to be expected. Wait, did that sound the juxtaposition? Wow.
What do you
It's
know
a
the juxtaposition?
rhetorical device, literary technique, philosophical. It's just one of those terms that, like, holy moly, like you just keep going
It's
and
the
going.
irony of the term.
It is the term itself seems to have a lot of variety. Is what I'm saying here. But I do at its most basic level. I love that sense of iron. Like something is, you know, when you go to route, you know, it's something solid, but it's not solid. It's the opposite of what you think it is.
It's ironic.
It's
In and of
ironic.
itself.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. That's yeah, that wasn't too deep. but I like we're breaking words down and like
Yeah.
what do they actually mean?
It is so true, though. I mean, the irony is true. I mean, you don't know hot unless you know cold. You don't know happy
Juxtaposition.
unless you know sad.
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, how you don't know good
Okay.
unless you know what evil is.
All right.
I mean, how can you know one without the other?
For instance, two towers in the background behind a Porsche doesn't necessarily mean anything to anyone other than the fact that your kid's a car kid. You know, like, and he recognizes the car immediately. He knows what the car means, what it's titled, and he sees the buildings behind and puts the connection together.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah. Absolutely. Causation in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 23 minutes.
It's a good time.
It is a fun time. Yeah.
23 minutes of a good time with Lou and Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about irony.
We're
Look,
talking
it's
about
on-
irony.
Oh, here it comes back. It's coming back.
We're talking. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just to take it, something I was thinking about that I think I can connect back to the sense of irony, is this idea of revolution, and this kind of what's happening in the world. You know, revolution is also one of those like scary words that people, you know, they think of, you know, beheadings and kings toppled, and those are revolutions. But revolution's also change of spirit, change, like a drastic change from one thing to the other.
Right.
You know, and going back to the idea of like this sort of ironic universe, I think the universe sort of operates in this weird, you know, middle ground where sometimes the irony is everything has to change.
Right.
You know, like it's a pivotal to that juxtaposition. Is like we've known where we've been,
That's the.
and now we're looking, and the ironic part is to get there, to get that massive change.
To realize the irony. The irony is to realize the irony.
Yes. And then you come out of the other side and you can look back at it and go, okay, this was...
And then there's
You
that
know,
rearview mirror shot.
There's that
when you
rearview
look back.
mirror. It has all of the elements of the sort of philosophical aspect. That it is this... It is a sense of awareness. And to me, I think with the revolution occurring now, just to get serious, you know, and the sort of oddness in the world, is that this is how history unfolds. History always changes from one thing to the other. At one time, as Americans, we had a king, over us, and we said, you know what, we don't want the king, we don't want the taxation, and the root word of patriotism is about loving the land. And I think to love America is to love the land from sea to shining sea.
Yeah.
And so the American Revolution was built on the idea that we are now free. And it's that sense of freedom that we can go into this land, into this world, and make a better place for all of us. And I think we get lost sometimes in the sort of parties and versus party and the rhetoric and the warfare and the constant surveillance and the sort of madness of society. But in a more basic, tiny level, every revolution, whether personal, whether on a sort of state level or something, cultural level, or even on a global scale, it's just changing from one thing to another. And then at the end, you just kind of laugh and go, you know what, we survived that crazy thing too.
Right.
And now we're on the next step of history.
And then you're ready for the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I remember this time, that wasn't so great, and it was scary transitioning over to this, but we didn't know, we had a feeling this wasn't so great.
Yeah.
And then the transition was even more uncomfortable. And then the end result, you're like, oh, that feels better.
Yeah.
So you didn't even realize how bad it was, even though you felt it was bad.
Yeah,
But you can't, the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
You can't know that was that bad until you know what good is and how good it feels.
It's like Alanis. She didn't know that Dave was just not right for her.
Right.
Until much later, and then she could kind of laugh about it and make a couple $1 million.
Young love, it's that big breakup, it's that heartbreak, it's that breakup song.
Yeah.
Speaking of breakup songs,
Yeah.
Another irony.
Another irony.
Think about
I love it.
Fleetwood Mac. Okay.
Mhm.
Fleetwood Mac. Two ex-lovers in the same band.
Yes.
Each one writing a breakup song about the other one, and they both have to sing and play and record
On the album
and tour
and
play it live.
Absolutely.
And each song is about each one of the other ones.
Yeah, that's pretty ironic. No, I like to say that because I love putting on blues and soul songs, and when you're in a sort of loving state, and to me a good love song, it can still be a breakup song. It can still be the heart crushed. Because it's love. It's about love. And that's still what makes it a love song. So, even the old, Patsy Cline. I love Patsy Cline. But a lot of her songs are just kind of on the sad side. She has a lot of sad music. But I'll still sing along to it. Because it's the blues. And we've all...
tragic ending, too.
It is a tragic. It's the irony of life.
It was just recently the anniversary of the plane crash that killed her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was flying home to Nashville from Kansas City.
Flying's gotten a little dangerous too.
This past week was the anniversary.
Really? Yeah. I love Patsy
1963.
Yeah.
She was young.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see the movie with her and as Beverly D'Angelo from Christmas Vacation?
Yeah.
She played Patsy Cline. No,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
I know what it was. See, I almost lost it. It was Sissy Spacek.
Fact check. Can we please get a fact check?
We got a fact check here.
Yeah.
Sissy Spacek was playing Loretta Lynn, and the movie was Coal Miner's
I know
Daughter.
that one. Yeah.
And in that movie, I think Beverly D'Angelo played Patsy Cline.
Cool.
And it was just perfect casting. She was absolutely amazing as Patsy Cline.
Yeah, she can sing too. She's sing and dance. She's extremely talented actress.
Yeah, I do love my records. They're so much fun.
She bought Dan Aykroyd's haunted house, and she loves it.
Ooh, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah,
She bought Dan Aykroyd's haunted house, and she loves it.
Did you know that Dan Aykroyd's grandfather was actually a spiritualist who spoke directly to ghosts? So when he grew up in an environment where most his family and friends and people he knew, they all not only believed in ghosts, many of them experienced them and saw them.
That's wild.
So when he wrote Ghostbusters, it was based on those experiences from his childhood.
That's pretty cool.
And his kind of research, because he's big UFO, conspiracy, weird ghost thing. He really is that guy that
cool.
from Ghostbusters.
That's really cool.
Gotta love that about Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, he talked about the house that he had and the how it was haunted and the spirit and everything, and he said Beverly D'Angelo bought the house from him, and she likes having the spirits around.
Mm-hmm.
Spirits, one or multiple, I don't remember, but she likes having the spirit around.
I mean, some people do. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not a frightening thing for them, to have the spirits around, because I don't know if you. We did a ghost podcast. It was earlier back.
Halloween, way back in 24.
It was like
Way back in 24.
a whole few months ago. But yeah, that was.
The whole world was different back in.
It was a different world.
It's a different world now than it was in Halloween of 2024.
Oh my god! Yeah, 6 months, the longest 6 months of all time.
Crazy.
Yeah, but anyway, ghosts. That notion that certain people see them, and they live their whole lives, experiencing ghosts and experiencing spirits and weirdness, and hey, you can't remove them from it. That's part of their life, part of who they are.
Well, it's frequencies and wavelengths.
Yeah.
I mean, you tune that dial into that wavelength of that frequency.
Yeah. Some people call it a gift. Other people call it a curse.
It's ironic.
It's ironic. Yeah.
And and only they can decide which is better and which is worse.
Yeah.
Because they have the two sides to compare.
They have. And this is an ironic.
Or do they? Maybe they don't have the other side to compare.
Well, all right, and that brings up to what I'm about to say.
Maybe they don't have the other side to compare.
There was a well-known ghost person I was listening to. They were talking about their life experiencing ghosts and remote viewing and all these like strange weirdness, and they said that there's almost sort of a deficiency. Like you have the gift to see this, but there's another deficiency in your life, and that every gift kind of has a cost to it.
Right.
And that's the ironic part of life.
That's irony.
Is that
balance? Yeah.
It is that balance, because you do get to experience all these unusual things, and people who don't get to experience it don't understand that in order to experience that, certain part of humanity in your life gets disrupted.
Yeah.
Like you on a regular basis, there's spirits, there's things bumping in the night, and you just kind of have to live with it. So, it is.
Wait, that's back. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
We should probably explain to the audience that we have this strange program that's doing this framing for us. So
We're playing with a new toy.
yeah, we're playing with a new toy on our little 23-minute podcast, because what the hell?
The only difference between men and boys is the price of their toys.
Yeah, let me look at let's see how we're doing on time here. We have to be around the 23-minute mark, because we started at 36, so.
We are getting so good at this.
We really are.
So good at this.
So we're going to have to do a wrap up, and I'll have to edit that last part out.
We have this natural 23-minute time clock.
Exactly. I think it's the old man stuff.
Either that or it's our conversations, we limit them to 23 minutes and we just...
That's pretty much all the steam we've got.
We know where to begin and we know where to end. We know it's 23 minutes.
Or, here's another, we're both hams for the camera. I'm going to ham it up. Look pretty. Be like, I'm cool. Are you cool?
All good, baby. All good. Cool as the other side of your pillow.
Now whether we're cool or we're just a bunch of old guys ranting into the camera, that's ironic, and that is up for you to decide.
That's right.
All right. Any last thoughts?
See you next time.
See you next time. It's been 23 minutes.
Bye.